I have a project that's going to involve these little skinny scraps. Here is an example of what I am talking about. These are a bunch of scraps that I have where it's like the edges of things and I'm doing a cleanup cut for some yardage. There's also some stuff where these are like maybe the kind of the leftover scraps that might happen after I used a pretty good amount of yardage on something. And so here's an example of a whole bunch of purples, and then behind it I have a whole bunch of grays. And then up here is what I'm going to use in this video today with yellows, oranges, and some reds right here. So here's a good example of some yardage that I have, and it's got a pretty good red background to it. I think this is going to go really nice. So what I am going to do, I want to go ahead and just make it so that I have like a really nice true and straight type of thing with my yardage here so that I can use that for another project. I can just hit the ground running. I am matching my ruler markings up with the factory fold. So here we go. This is a good example of a scrap that I'm going to be using. What I am going to do is, for this, I need 10 strips. So what I'm doing is I'm going with trios of adjacent hues or adjacent colors. When I think of the rainbow kind of spectrum, I like to call it Freud-Biv. You might have heard of Roy-Biv, and that would be red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Freud-Biv, the F would be for fuchsia. Some people might call it magenta. And so it's kind of like that intense sort of pink color that lays between violet and red. So what I'm doing in this case is I'm going to have red, orange, yellow. What I need is I need 10 strips. So I've just cut this in half right here, and I figure I'll use this one. So I need 10 strips, and what I'm going to do is that middle color is going to be 4 strips, and then on either side of it will be the other colors, and I'll have 3 strips each, and that equals 10. I think for this, so I have kind of my raw edges here. So these are raw edges from like washing, that kind of thing. I want to have my cut edges for when I cut these strips off. I want to have those nice clean edges be next to other clean edges initially for whenever I'm sewing these blocks together. This one that I just cut is actually pretty clean on either side. I have this Aborigine fabric, so I think this would be nice. I'm going to use that one. So I think that's pretty good. I think that'll be really nice for red. And then I have some orange. I spotted this in my stash. This one could go either way. This one could be red, but it does have that background that's an orange. So I'm going to go ahead and have this be orange. Just like this first one, this one also could have been orange. And initially I was kind of thinking that I would have this one be orange. All right, so I am going to place these two together. I'm going to put that there. And then here is some batik that I got that's really pretty. And you don't have to have these be completely straight. That's one of the great things about this, is this does not require them to be straight. You can see here, this is definitely not straight. So we have two. Okay, so we need to match up our edge this way. And this is a case where I could even use it on this side instead, and it would still look pretty good. Now that I have those oranges, I'm going to go ahead and figure out my yellows. That right there. So actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this floral. Now what will happen is that this floral will end up next to this because it's going to be a tube. So I think that's going to work. And then if I put that up to there, and put that up to there. 13. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, now that I have my strips figured out, what I am going to be doing with them is I am going to be making blocks that look like this. So as you can see, this is at a diagonal, and I'm going to form these up into a tube. In order to cut the most efficient number of squares out of that fabric tube, I have to angle this. So I'm going to show you what I do to angle these. So as you can see here, I have all of these strips ready to go. So what I would want to do is I want to have these things kind of looking like an arrow, and so they're going to get staggered, okay? But I have a trick with how to take these varying sizes and actually get them to really end up being that 45-degree angle that is going to have everything fit together really nicely. So these are going to be done in duos, so that's one of the benefits to having 10 of them. So the 2 in the center, those are going to be pretty much even. This is selvage right here. So those 2 are going to be nice and even, and then we're going to have it go up and have it go back that way. So whichever of the two pieces is sticking out further to the right, you're going to take that piece. And so if that one happens to be on the top like this one is, then you're going to angle it upward, okay? So you angle it upward, and you angle it upward like that, and then I just like to give a little bit of a fold to it, but I also find that I need to just kind of give it a little bit of a mark there with the friction pen, because it gets to be kind of hard to see that. And then what I do is I take that and I put it on top. I stagger it a little bit as if it's going to be roughly about 1/4 of an inch there. And so that's more than 1/4 of an inch, but also remember it's an angle, so 1/4 of an inch can be kind of deceptive in that case. We don't have to be exact, we just need to be close. And then I just take this, I can take a pen, and usually what I do is I just do this at the machine as I'm going along, so I don't even pen it. But for the sake of the demonstration here, because it is a lot easier to see it on the work table, I'm going to show it that way. Let's take the example of these two up here at the top. So I have the one that's poking out the most to the right is this one on the bottom. In that case, that one will get folded downward. And if I have selvage, like this one, for example, I have selvage. So let me do the example on here. This one I have selvage. Also, this is selvage right there as well. So what I do in that case is I actually fold it down to where the selvage is just under that line. And I do that so that I'm not including the selvage in that cuttable angle. And then I just take that and I can see the selvage is right there. So I offset it from that selvage area. And then I can just pin this. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these set, and then I'm going to sew these 2x2, and then we can move on to the next step. So here we are, we have these duos sewn together. So I will want to get all of these sewn together. However, we have some of these pieces where I need to go through and I need to straighten out those edges because we have some seriously jagged edges because these were the edges of the fabric that we were cutting off so that we could get everything nice and straight for some usable yardage. A good example of that is this piece right here. It's very jagged along here. So for this, I need a pretty long ruler here. And so I'm just looking at this, trying to get a sense here. So we have our seam right there, so that's pretty nice and straight. And then I'm just going to go ahead, now that I know that that's not getting all kind of wonky with the seam, now I can just scooch that over and then just trim that right up. And now that's a really nice straight edge to join with the next piece. This one already has a pretty good straight edge, so I'm not going to worry about it. And this too looks like it's really straight. The Aboriginal print is fairly straight, I think. Yeah, I think that's going to be good enough as well. And then also another thing about this, I'm not worried about cleaning up these outer edges. I'm going to do that for when I get all 10 of these pieces sewn together, because I'm going to need to trim those down to a particular width. Also about the pressing, I just have everything pressed to the side, so that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get these stitched up, and then I'll be right back. Here is the strip set. So now I am ready to trim this back. What I need to trim this back to is I need to trim it back to 7, because that's what works for the triangles that I'm cutting that are going to turn into squares. So I'm going to go ahead and have it centered in the middle of this orange with the little stripes on it. So what I need to do for that is I need 3.5 inches going down that. That will end up, this line here is my 3.5. So I will end up cutting off this amount on this edge. And then for this, I'm just going to line this up with one of the lines on my cutting mat. And then this is a 6-inch wide ruler. This will give me 7 inches if I do it this way. And in this manner, I'm able to retain a really nice amount on these edges, so nothing's going to be too skinny going into one of those seams on the outside, and that makes it a lot easier for me to be able to cut with this, the strip tube ruler. What I need to do now is I need to just go ahead and get that folded over, and then I'm going to sew right along there, and then I'm just also going to press it down, and then that way I have this that I can follow, and I'll be able to follow the seam up here. So here it is. This is the strip tube. So you see there, it's like a tube. Like I said before, I'm going to use this ruler that is a strip tube ruler. It is by the Cozy Quilt Designs people. I think I got this one on Amazon. You can get it at a number of quilt shops that have an online presence as well. I am not sponsored by these guys. I find this to be the best ruler for doing these sorts of tube type of projects. That's my opinion. And so if you happen to want to do a lot of these kinds of projects, and personally I find them fun, I think this is a very worthwhile investment because they have all of these nice markings. The markings this way are in inches, and so you're going to know what your square sides are going to be. And this is like kind of a centering mark with like kind of the 1/4 inch on each side. It's just a very well-designed ruler. You could alternatively go ahead, and since this is this way with these markings, okay, then what you could do is you could take some tape, and since I need the 4.5 inch line to match up with the seam and stuff, you could stretch a piece of tape carefully between this point and this point and just have it be very, very straight, and then that's going to give you your edge that you could match up to. I think that can work. If you're not planning on using this specialized ruler a lot, that is an option. However, I have the specialized ruler, so that is what I'm going to use. So this was my leading edge of that angle there. Because I had a bunch of really wide widths there, it did get kind of a little off looking there. So I'm looking at this, so we have the 4 there, we need the 4.5, because that's the square size that we are going to end up with. This is the fold that we created before. So we're actually going to match it up on that fold. And then I'm just going to look. So I think I can scooch this just a little bit over. I also have this bit of selvage here, so I can't go too far into that either. Okay, so now let's look at it, and that looks like that's going to be pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead, and then for this, I try to put my weight on that part instead of here because there is a lot of bulk. And then there we go. And this is your waist. So you could have this for little confetti stuff, or you can just toss it. And confetti as in crumb sized is what I'm talking about. So, okay. Let's see. Oop, there we go. So this is our first piece, and that is very nice. And then what I like to do on this is I just like to go through here, and then I will just trim off, and I just kind of eyeball it. So, I mean, I'm more or less kind of trimming it straight, but, I might angle it in a little bit. So, and I'm just doing that to save on the bulk, to lessen the bulk. I do that to lessen the bulk and to just kind of save on trimming it later, because once I get this pressed down really, really nice and flat, it's going to be a little bit harder to get those pieces. So I suppose that's kind of optional. A lot of quilters probably don't do that, but I do. And so that is one of the pieces. And then the other piece, I just flip the ruler around and I match it up. The seam line here, it's kind of hard to see because I used a really light thread color. And so it looks like I will have to do kind of a trim on the other side as well. And then just spin it around that way, just make sure everything's still kind of lining up there a little bit. Everything wants to come with me. Okay. Still looks pretty good. Okay. Okay. All right, that gets me my second side like that. That ended up being close enough that I can just take this little piece off because it's not really going to show when I have it next to the other blocks. And then here, I can just trim that off. So that one, I mean, I could probably take that one off too, but that looks like it has just a tiny bit more than the other one did. So just trimming these back. And like here, I actually pressed it open. Reason why I did that was because these strips were so skinny, it was just easier that way. Usually I just press these to the side, and then I might press the center seam open. So in this case, like this right here, I'll end up pressing that open just so it lays nice and flat. So these two are going to end up being my red, orange, yellow pieces. So that looks very nice in the center there. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these cut out. Hopefully I can get 6 of them. So I'm going to get these pressed really, really nice and flat, and then I will take it to the next step. So here they are, these 6 squares out of that one strip set. And so as you can see, all of those strip sets were half of a width of fabric, so they are roughly around 20 and a half, 21 inches. And so they turn out like that. And so these are the red, orange, yellow. And then right here, I have the fuchsia, red, orange. So I guess I should put it more like this, so it's easier to see. Okay. And then the next one up after that red, orange, yellow would be orange, yellow, green. And then this one is yellow, green, blue, or cyan. This one is green, blue, indigo. Here is blue, indigo, violet. And this one is indigo, violet, fuchsia. And the last one is violet, fuchsia, and red. So I definitely recommend, when it comes to doing strip projects, if you're anything like me and you're not into the chaotic look, then try to stick to some kind of a color scheme. And so what you can do is you can just kind of consult color theory concepts, and some of that is going to be things like you can have triad type of colors. So that's going to be like, red, blue, orange would be a typical triad, that type of a thing. You can also do adjacent colors, and that can work very nice and effectively and have a pleasing result to your efforts. And so that is what I've done here. I've gone with an adjacent type of a color scheme with these. And so these are all in trios. I could have easily done these as just duos, where it could have been red and orange, and then orange and yellow. That would work excellently as well. And it's really hard to go wrong when you do something like that. So that's just a recommendation. I mean, if you like it, chaos, if you like it, like I had one comment on the Wonky 9-pack where they wondered what it would look like scrappy. And I was very confused by that because I used 40 different scraps. I couldn't imagine how it could be more scrappy. And then I realized that I think what they were talking about is they wondered what it would look like if there was no kind of following rules on color and just being chaotic about it. And well, it's going to look really jumbled if you do it that way. And some people really like that. It's personally not my thing. So this is all up to personal taste, but I am showing you how I like to go about things. So for this, I'm going to lay these out, and I will not need all of these. Okay, so now for the big reveal here, and this is what it turned out like. I think this turned out very, very well. This is what it looks like from this angle as well. I think this looks really great. This is table runner sized, but you could easily expand it out and it would make a wonderful crib quilt. So where I started it, let's see, this was where I started it in the corner here. And then I just have it go all the way down through. And I was able to achieve this kind of look from these squares. I hope you found this useful, and thanks for stopping by.